You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. It's Tuesday, January 6th, and it's kind of a big day here on the show. This is our year anniversary of doing Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We started up 1 year ago today. Had no clue how long this thing would last, if we do it a month, if we do it 6 months. I hoped we do it for several years, but you never know. And here we are 1 year later, very grateful, very happy, and ready to talk sports and everything else for another couple hours with you right here on OTA. If you're watching us live on YouTube, thank you for doing that. If you've subscribed, we appreciate that. Excuse me. If you haven't subscribed, do so, please, and tell a friend or two or 10 about what we're doing each and every day. We've been doing it for a year right here in the Quad Cities, off the air every weekday. So we appreciate that. If you are watching us on YouTube, if you want to be interactive with the show, that's awesome. The chats have been very active of late. So hop on to YouTube. There's a chat right there. If you got a question for a guest, or you want to yell at myself, or give your facts or opinions or all those kind of things, we love that. One thing I want to do more of in year number 2 is try to figure out a way to be more interactive during the show. I go back to the old sports radio days where you call in and you take calls and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's possible unless I gave the interview link out to everybody. That'd probably be a bad idea. So we'll figure some more things out, but we'd love those kind of interactions. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, more importantly, and be interactive with the show. We appreciate the ones that are, and hopefully more of you do that as well. We're also live on X. X has been very, very good to us. So if you're watching us on X, thank you for doing that as well. You can check out the show on all the podcasting platforms as well. You can check us out on Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts. Go ahead and put in Off There with Matt Randazzo, and you can check out the show each and every day. Listen to it. You don't have to listen to myself or look at myself or the guests, anything like that. You can just listen to the show as well. Easier to do if you're working out or whatever you're doing, on your way to work, on your way home from work, all those kind of things. Check out the show. We've got a lot to get to today as well. Also, we want to welcome our viewers in Central Iowa. The show is on every single weekday at 7 p.m. on the WHO streaming app in Des Moines. We appreciate that. We loved you guys' responses, your feedback we've gotten from that area as well, and a lot to get to for the Iowa side this show as well, when it comes to the guests that are coming up as well. So a lot to get to. As I mentioned, it is 1 year in the books. It's been a bunch of fun. Walked away from television a little more than a year ago and wanted to try something different. And this is what we kind of thought of. And it's been fun so far. This is the 239th show that we've done. And I counted yesterday like 3 times and went to YouTube and counted the shows and never thought it would be that many. But I guess when you do, your goal is to do 5 shows a week, and there's 52 weeks in the year. They add up quickly. We've had a bunch of fun, fantastic guests. Very lucky to get yeses from the people that I've asked to be on the show, from the Kirk Ferentzes, the Brett Bielemas, the Shauna Greens, the Darian Porter when he was drafted. Logan Lee's been great to us. You name it. Chasen Randall's, Cole Rusk was one of our first guests. He was on our show a year ago today. Our show a year ago today was Pat Angerer, Cole Rusk, and John Marks. And one of those guys are going to be on the show today. Pat Angerer, Johnny was on yesterday. So it's been a bunch of fun to get to chat with some of these people. Hopefully you've enjoyed it along the way as well. We have familiar guests that that you may have, not want to say forgotten about, but haven't seen in the Quad Cities for a while. When it comes to Mark Nessler and bringing back Nest Gas, that's been a bunch of fun. We've had the wild man, Dan Birch, a very important figure in my life, a mentor to me, was on the show, has been on the show. Dan Pearson, Tom Cornellis, all those guys. Jake Hidwell has been on the show. So it's been a lot of fun to be able to do the show each and every weekday. We've done live shows from different places in Iowa City, from media days, Oscars on NFL draft, high schools on Fridays for high school football. We've been all over the place. We've done the Nest Gas segment from Hungry Hobo, a fantastic sponsor of the show as well. So it's been fun to go on the road as well, which brings me to the whole point of this rambling mess is on Friday, we're going to celebrate a little more. It's tough to celebrate on a Tuesday. So on Friday, we're going to do a live show from Godfathers and Silvis, and Andy Furman and Godfathers from the jump. I think I put a video out saying what I wanted to do, and Andy messaged me right away and said, hey, let me know when you're ready to rock, because we'd love to support it. And they've been an amazing sponsor from the jump, and they have really good pizza. So we're going to head there on Friday, have some people stop by, some familiar guests, and kind of celebrate a little bit on Friday. Easier to tell people, hey, knock off work early on Friday or take Friday off and come over to Godfathers than, hey, Tuesday afternoon at 10 a.m., looking to do a show. Can you join us? So we're going to celebrate a little bit on Friday. Hopefully you'll see some familiar faces on the show as well. And we'll kind of talk more about the fun things we've done over the last year. And when I say we, I mean we, because the sponsors have been amazing from the jump. We started this thing up, and Rafferty Funeral Home, Godfathers, and Snoop were the first three that were like, we're in. And they've been amazing since, and Hungry Hobo and Mobile Party Experience, and Skiles Driving School and Crawford and the Quad City Steamwheelers, and I hope I'm not forgetting any of them along the way, have all jumped in and said we'd love to help out, we'd love to support it, and we've loved to advertise and tell people about the businesses that we work with as well. So it's been a bunch of fun. Can't thank them enough. Can't thank my family and my wife. We'll do more of that stuff on Friday, because we haven't done anything. We did something for a year. It's not that big a deal. I make fun of people in the news business, and my news friends know this. There'll be like a post put up on social media at this station for a year, and I'd always go like, it's a year. Like, who cares? So who cares, really? On honesty, who cares? But thank you for the people that have helped me, and we'll take the show to one of our favorite sponsors on Godfathers, two Godfathers coming up on Friday as well. On today's show, we mentioned a year ago, our first show had Pat Anger kicking things off in the chair right over there, and of course he's too big time now to make the trip out to my little neck of the woods. So, but Pat Anger will be here in a matter of moments. We're going to look back at some of the fun that we've had with Pat over the last year, and it's easy to do. You go to any show that he's been on, and he's been one of our most frequenting guests, comes on every Monday. He's been on several times, a couple times a week. So, it's been fun. So we'll look back with that. We'll also, the bowl game's done, but the portal's busy, and Pat is Iowa football right now. So we'll get to all those things with Pat Anger coming up in just a matter of moments. Also, it was a fantastic season at Central Michigan for a former Hawkeye and a former Pleasant Valley Spartan, Rusty VanWetzinga. He's up for the Lowman Award, the best fullback in the entire country, by Pardon My Take. And he just wrapped up an amazing season with Matt Drinkle up at Central Michigan. Matt Drinkle, of course, a Bettendorf grad, his first year as a head coach at the Division I level, and they win 7 games. They go to a bowl game. They're going to be rocking and rolling. He does things correctly. Matt Drinkle is up at Central Michigan. We're going to have Drink on the show coming up in the next couple weeks as well, hopefully. So Rusty VanWetzinga will join us to talk about the transition from Iowa to Central Michigan, what it's like being a fullback in college football, and that position, and what do you have to do and love to be part of that. All that much more with Rusty coming up, and later on in hour number 1 of the show. In hour number 2, the Iowa women get a victory last night. It didn't look pretty. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done, beating Northwestern up in Northwestern. at Northwestern. Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report is still in Chicago. He's going to join us in hour number 2. He was at the game last night. We'll talk Iowa women's basketball as they are 4-0 in the Big Ten and 13-2 overall. And they've done it despite, Hannah Stolke kind of a roller coaster ride with her. And Chit Chat has been hurt. And Kylie Feuerbach is out right now. And Emily Rodriguez hasn't played more than 6 games, I don't think. And so many different things has happened to that team. Addie Deal, a slow start as a freshman, and I think she's still going to be really good. But it's been amazing to see the things Iowa women's basketball has kind of had to go through. And there's Coach Jensen and a 4-0 team in the Big Ten. So we'll talk with Kyle Huesmann. Much more Iowa women's basketball coming up in hour number 2 as well. Also, before we get done today, we have a special birthday. There's a birthday at the Randazzo house, and he's a guest you guys have seen several times. My baby has a birthday. He turns 9 today, so we'll talk a little bit more and wish Carson a happy birthday towards the end of the show as well, which always gets my nieces and my sister to watch the show. I don't know if they ever watch the show despite anything else, but if Carson is talked about or on, we usually get a view from my nieces and my sister as well. So some news and notes before we get rocking and rolling. The big news in college football, especially in our area when it comes to the Fighting Illini, is Matthew Bailey is coming back to the University of Illinois, announcing that yesterday. So he will play one more season at Illinois. He just got done with shoulder surgery, did not play in the bowl game, but had a really good season as usual. And he's going to play on Sundays eventually. He just is. He's too talented, too skilled, all of those kind of things, not to get an opportunity in the NFL. But he's going to take one more season and go back to Illinois and play one more year with the Fighting Illini. We'll try to track down Matthew Bailey coming up. He hasn't been on the show yet. We talked to him when we got this thing up and rolling last year around this time, and just never touched base enough to make it work out. So we're going to try to work hard on that. But congratulations to Matthew Bailey, and big news for Brett Bielema and the Fighting Illini to get that guy back on defense, one of their best defensive players to lead that defense, a younger defense next year down in Champaign. So congratulations to Matthew Bailey coming back to the University of Illinois for one more season. We mentioned the Iowa Hawkeyes. They won at Northwestern 67-58, the final score. We'll get to them later on. Some more football news. What a game in the FCS National Championship game when it came to Illinois State and Montana State playing down in Nashville. We watched it. We watched the some of that. We got a couple TVs downstairs. We figured out how to do it correctly. My wife's very nice to us, and so we had that up on one of the TVs, and then we were watching the 1-year anniversary show of Raw on Netflix. So we were watching wrestling, and we kept watching the game. A great game. And then I remember the wrestling got done and we put on the big screen, and my kids go back to school today, and it was going to be like, hey, we got to get to bed early. You're coming off a Christmas break. And we ignored mom upstairs and watched that. It was an amazing game. Unfortunately, kicking, doing Illinois State in, they missed, had a field goal blocked late and then a missed extra point in overtime. The difference, Montana State converting on, I think, 4th and 11 in overtime to score a touchdown. They kicked the extra point. They're your national champions. But what Illinois State is amazing. It's the equivalent. I was talking with Tom Kakert about this, and we kind of agreed. It's like if you're watching the NCAA tournament, it's like a 13 seed, something like that, making it to the national championship game. That's the Cinderella type story it was at Illinois State. Jim Madsen, who's our Illini expert, one of our Illini experts, was down there covering Illinois State. We're going to catch up with Jim Madsen either tomorrow or Thursday to kind of talk about what Illinois State did, because really an impressive performance. And congratulations, national runner-up, and a lot of momentum going into next season as well. And then this happened yesterday on the show, during the show, but Caden Weegan is the Jet Award winner, the nation's best return guy for the second straight season. No surprise there. And he's going to play on Sundays. He's going to eventually make a roster and make a camp, and especially with the way they do kickoffs in the NFL this year, he's gonna make a spot and find a spot in the NFL as well. So it is that 1 year anniversary, and we started off with a very familiar face when it comes to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, somebody we've had on the show several times. Trip out to the Randazzo. So a year ago today, this young man made the short trip out to the Randazzo small house
Mansion.
To do the very first Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Who would have thunk I would have done this for 365 days? That's a year, my friend.
I believe in the Dazzler.
I don't
you could
know
do anything.
I don't know if you did. Do you remember what you compared the show to at the very beginning of the show? You don't remember
No.
if you put underwear on. You'll see here in a
Nope.
second, because I put together some of the best moments of Pat Angerer over the last year here on OTA. We're gonna look at it in just a second.
Wow.
But it's
Kind of stalkerish. But
you know how many shows my dumbass has done in the last year? This is
5 a week.
Uh-oh.
How many weeks are there? I don't know.
52 weeks in a year?
Okay, so you're probably taking some off.
The math.
200.
220. This is the 239th show. How stupid is that? How dumb is that?
Man, I tell you what, you work hard. You work hard, Dazzo. Proud of you, buddy.
It's been fun. It's been a bunch of fun.
Now you're making millions.
Exactly.
You started this doing it for free, and now you got all these sponsors. You're loaded. Good for you.
Loaded probably isn't the key word, but we're doing okay. We're doing good. And I want to, in all honesty, and I do want to look back at some of the fun moments of Pat Angerer, because you've been on way too often. I was going to go and count and be like, Tommy was on this amount of times. Pat's been on this, frequent guests and stuff. I didn't want to do it. I got lazy, but I do want to look back at some of the fun stuff. But I do remember in December of last year, November of 2024, me meeting you for lunch a few times, and you're like, all excited, like, go do this. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So anyways, long story short, thank you for some reason thinking that I could do something stupid like this. And it's been a trip for a year, man. I have not gotten canceled again.
Not yet.
Again.
Not yet. Yeah.
Haven't gotten canceled again.
You're killing it, man. None of us are surprised, dude. You're killing it. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate it. So, well, the thing you compared, the show to, and the launch of the show, is on this little snippet we put together, the best of Pat Angerer OTA.
Oh gosh.
Season 1. It may be one of the most popular things ever to hit the airwaves. Take a listen. One, the only, and thank God there's only one of you. Pat Angerer is in the house.
Well, thanks for having me, man. This is a monumental day. This is like the first Hoop Fest in the Quad City. You see how that turned out? That turned out pretty good.
It's
still going on. Yeah. So. But one game I kept being like, oh man, if we do this, I'm gonna kiss you, Gary. And then at the end of the game, he's like, hey, I know the fans probably like you saying that, but just please don't say you're gonna kiss me game one, because I don't know if you're serious or not. And like, I just please don't. So I did have to stop saying I was gonna kiss him, which is hard. That's hard to say when you've got such a beautiful man with a beautiful voice. You just want to kiss him on the lips.
Yes. I was wondering how long it would take to get a reference of you kissing a man on the show today, and it was quick.
It's cheaper to go to an Iowa baseball game than it is to go watch your 8-year-old strike out in 30-degree weather. Yeah. And Iowa baseball is really good this year. They are really freaking good.
You're gonna get me in trouble. That's all you're doing today.
I know, but it's just like there's no common sense anymore. Like, come on.
Gosh,
you got enough money.
You're gonna have Jen Randazzo on your ass here in a second if you're not careful. I'm just saying.
Well, then I might keep talking, man.
Take it easy. Take it easy. Yeah, it's like a genie out of the bottle. Good luck getting it back in and trying to figure it out.
Love that song.
Yeah,
love that song.
Sing it. Come on.
I'm a genie in a bottle. Something like that.
As the future new richest guy in the Quad Cities, what credit union are you going to give all your money to, and why is it IH Mississippi Valley Credit Union, which is a sponsor of the show, along with Anger Eats as well? Because I do want to give you some advice. Don't tell any media guys where you're going to be on draft day. Because before you know it, he'll be over at your house,
Oh,
which he was with mine, and then he was just parked outside my house. And then 15 years later, you're in Oscars doing an interview with him, and he makes you get on the radio every
it's a
Monday.
slippery slope here.
Yeah, so
NFL star, next
just
thing you know, you're hanging out with me.
so just be careful.
That's how bad it can go. It can go fast. Business just picked up a little bit. So Greg shows up. Next thing you know, it's a party.
In my first season in the Iowa radio booth, Nebraska, Iowa State, and Illinois all won bowl games.
Ooh.
I'm not superstitious, but that would have never happened under Ed Podolak's watch. He spelled Podolak wrong, but it's okay.
Haven't seen him play football at all, but I'll tell you what, he's tan, he's got good hair, and he's good at golf. Like, we might as well sign him up for the Heisman.
We're co-workers now.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Anybody? We're gonna love it.
It is kind of scary that the first live voice Iowa fans are going to hear is
If
yours.
we're going to take the kickboxers versus the wrestlers and the Muay Thai guys versus this, I feel like this is like the fancy stand-up fighter versus the wrestler, and we're the wrestler.
So is your wife home taking care of you?
Now she's working from home, but yeah, she's also taking care of me as
Oh,
well.
you two are it's just so special. So
Love you,
sweet.
Mary.
Nothing.
At least he's wearing something. That's the way I look at it.
That's not what you said last night.
Did you? Did you bring your thong, bikini, swimsuit?
You know, I always wear those things backwards. Pisses people off.
Well,
Well,
it's been great catching up with you guys.
All right.
Yeah, okay,
I
good
miss
to
you.
We'll see you, buddy.
Thanks for keeping this short today.
Yeah, right. Like right. Guys, come back. And you're back.
That's good, clean fun, man. That's just good, clean fun right there, buddy.
Hoop Fest.
Yeah, that was cool for a little bit, right? It's kind
That
of
was
like
great.
OTA.
If I could have an Hoop Fest run, I'd take it right now. It was what, 15,
Yeah.
20 years of greatness? I mean, it was good.
yeah, they made millions and just took off.
Do you remember the joke swap?
I do. I don't. Why didn't you put the one that I dominated you with? That was a good.
It
one.
was good because it was more about you and not me. Like, I didn't want to have me stump. The bad part about that is I did look at it. I laughed too hard during the joke, and I didn't present it the way it was a great joke. It was so good.
Thanks, man.
But
That was
no,
fun. That
yeah,
was a scary time though in both of our lives.
yeah,
We took big risks there.
yeah, and we haven't done it again, and I think we should. But here's what
Yeah.
I think we should do. We should write jokes for Gary, for Dolph to read about each of us. In that voice, I think that would go well. I think that would go really
would be
well.
good.
So no, it's been a ton of fun doing these kind of Genie and about Darian Porter. He had a fumble recovery this past weekend. He had a good rookie season. Is he?
Good for him.
Is
Yeah.
he? Is he banking where he should be banking? Did that happen?
There's HIPAA laws. I can't say that. I can't comment.
That makes sense.
On
That
HIPAA
makes
law.
sense.
Yeah.
All right, enough of me and the stupid show and the year and all that kind of stuff. You're back from Florida. Are you miserable being back from Florida? Was it fun? Did you have a good time?
Bowl games are fun if you win. So yeah, it was fun. It was a blast. But it's long. It's a long trip. It's left on Christmas and got back New Year's Day. So glad to be back home. Glad to be back with the family. Missed them. They didn't miss me, but I missed them. But no, it was nice to be down there, go to practice, do the interviews, be around the kids a lot more. Then you kind of earn their trust a lot when you're around there, as opposed to them just like, who's this a-hole that I'm supposed to answer these questions with. But enjoyed it, and really, the game pretty much went about how I thought it was going to go. I didn't think they were going to get that many big plays on us, but they've got talent. We knew they were going to get some. But just proud of the guys fighting, proud of their finish. They came out ready to go. I just loved going into it. We talked. Nobody was talking about us, and we showed up and fought them from the get-go. And it's funny. Like it feels like Mark has been here forever, and you wish he was back for another year because he's just such a great leader and just a great teammate and a good representative of Iowa football. So. Yeah, it was a good season. It was a really fun one. Really liked the group.
How important was that victory? And things are going to look different next year, and they're looking already different now. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think for that group, it's going to go down as a as an Iowa football team I think fans really enjoyed, and that was one of the more talented teams that Iowa's had in the last decade or so. How important was it to end that way, and what will this team, the 2025 Iowa Hawkeyes, be remembered for, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's and Coach had mentioned a lot like 2008, but the problem with 2008 is like we lost to Northwestern to Michigan State, and these guys lost to two teams that are still in the college football playoffs, two top 4 teams. I think this team is a team that can play with any team in Iowa history. Since Coach Farron's been there, I really do. They're tough, they're resilient, they're gritty. I think they should be remembered as a team that represented Iowa football really well, and did everything the right way. They just a good representative of the state and how we look at ourselves in Iowa. We're going to work hard. We're going to shut our mouths. We're going to do our job. And you saw that going into this game. Is everybody talked about Vanderbilt, nobody talked about us, and we just showed up for a fight and we're ready to go. What did kind of bug me after the game? Yeah, huge win. It was great to get a big win for these guys. They deserved it. They've been so close all year. What bugged me is that you turn on ESPN and all that crap, and Iowa snaps their 14-game losing streak to ranked teams. Like, no, Iowa beat top 14 and a team that was talked in the college football playoff discussion. Iowa came out and kicked their ass. That's what you should say. Don't throw shade at us. These damn SEC, ESPN a-holes. Give us some credit here. We came out, we showed up, we beat a really good quarterback who was runner-up on the Heisman, and really impressed by him. He says some things, but when you see him on the field, he's a competitor. He doesn't give up. He's a good teammate. He's always ready for a fight. He's always trying to make plays. Was really impressed with his leadership. But Iowa took some shots and hit him, and kept them at bay for the most part. Well, at least for a quarter. But they did enough to win and played really well. So, yeah, give the Iowa boys a little credit. I mean, geez Louise.
No, you looked at social media afterwards, and it was everything was like Iowa beats a ranked team for the first time since 2021 or whatever. We even did a post show. We did it, and that's what Caker brought up right away too. I don't know. It wasn't just the SEC guys. Some guys are just negative with stuff. But
these media guys are all stupid.
Is Diego Pavia that guy that you probably hate if he's not on your team, but if he was on your team, you'd love that guy?
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And I said that a couple of times. I think he's a guy that you get behind if he's on your squad. You like the way he plays because he does play with it. He plays with a ton of heart. He plays a way that you want your kids to play. You got young kids like, hey, go play like him, go compete. Now you don't want them to talk like him off the field, but I think that's part of who he is. The guy's a competitor. He's gritty. He's got his back against the wall always. But I'll tell you what, though, when you're talking about guys you want your kid to be like and play like, Mark Randazzo, right? I mean, geez, he says the right stuff. He does the right thing. That fumble he recovered was absolutely unbelievable. He was a big leader to this football team. And we are so lucky and blessed to have him, on our football team this year and wearing the black and gold. It's, the winningest quarterback in college football history graduated from Iowa.
Yeah.
Who would ever thought that?
Yeah, got none of those victories with Iowa. I want to talk to you about that because Albany happens and then, they lose at Iowa State. And I would even say the beginning of the third game, I can't even think of who it was, maybe UMass or whoever it was. It wasn't pretty. And Iowa fans are booing. And at that point, did you ever think we would have a conversation talking about Mark Randazzo the way that we did? And fans are short for fanatic. And if it doesn't look good right away, they want to go crazy. And you can't fault them for that. But yeah, I always had this feeling that he didn't forget how to play quarterback. You know what I mean? He can't do what he did. I don't care what level it's at. And then forget how. He saved his best for last at Iowa. I wish he had another year. What will that guy be remembered for? Because I think he saved his best for last, and you look at it with his arms, and just not even that, but the fumble. That's the biggest play of the game. People talk about the Wigan pen or whatever they call the play and all that kind of stuff. That fumble was huge. What's Mark Randazzo's legacy, I guess, is my question when it comes to Iowa football.
Yeah, I think it's toughness and leadership. He came in, obviously had that shoulder surgery. I don't think he was ever healthy. and then he started to kind of get a little bit healthy. Then he had that knee injury. So really, I think he probably, I guess he even said it, healthiest was this last game, probably the healthiest he felt. Now he said healthiest he's felt, which means he's probably wasn't healthy. But he did what we expected him to do. And the guy was gritty. He did everything that was asked. He said the right stuff, competed at a high level. He should be remembered as a good Hawk because he, as a guy that used to play there, he represented it the right way. And he's a guy that would have fit in on any team that I was on. So super glad to know him. Glad he was a Hawk, and hopefully he continues to play and excel.
Caden Weegan is the Jet Award winner for the second straight time. Happened yesterday. Best returner in all the country. No surprise to anything. He didn't make any huge plays in the bowl game, but his season was special. To hear that, and you've gotten to know him not just as the football player, but off the field a little bit as well. Getting to interview these guys that constantly are on their show on the post game because they're so good at what they do. Your thoughts on him? I mean, that's another guy that leaves a great legacy. And yes, we'll remember the returns and all those kind of things, but just the kind of story that he's had going from where he was to where he's leaving is pretty special as well.
Yeah, and what he did, he accomplished only in 2 years, really. So that says it a lot more, especially too in a time and age where you've got the spread punt, which makes it so much harder to return punts. And just super impressed by him. It was just every time he'd do something, he'd be like, man, that's amazing. No way he can top that. And then he would top it. He single-handedly won the Michigan State game for us, which I've never seen a returner do that other than, probably your guy, Devin Hester. He should be remembered as a Hawk, remembered as just tough. And he's a legend. He's on the wall. Dudes on the wall are legends, and he's up there.
I had somebody ask me the other day, does he get drafted? And even if he doesn't, there's a spot for him on Sunday's returning kick somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. And I think too with the kickoff, how they have the stupid new rule now, how it just lines up and looks stupid.
Yeah.
The stupid NFL kickoff.
Yeah.
I think that plays into his strengths. I really do. I think that plays into his strengths, and I think hopefully he gets picked. Hopefully he gets drafted. If not, hopefully he gets picked up. And if nobody picks him up, they're stupid. And the team that picks him up is the smartest team in the NFL.
Hey, he'd be good with the Lions, right?
And he'd be good with anybody.
No, but mainly with the Lions. Mainly with my Lions. Come on, that's not what he's a
absolutely. I think he'd do great. If he went to the Bears, he'd probably have a longer season. You get that playoff money.
Don't start acting like you're a Bears fan all of a sudden. You're not. Hey, that's fine. Dan Campbell, Jack Campbell, all the Campbells, they're keeping receipts. Don't worry.
How good is Jack Campbell? How good is he?
I'm not trying to be a homer. I think he's one of the best 3 linebackers in football.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. Unbelievable what he can do. As big as he is, it's crazy.
That's the thing is there's another linebacker for the Lions, Malcolm Rodriguez, who's going to be a free agent, and he's like a backup guy, and they have Anzalone there, and he's a free agent. So I was kind of talking with one of my sons about do you let Anzo go, and is Malcolm, that can he fill in next year? And Malcolm Rodriguez made a tackle, and he was running back to the huddle, and all of a sudden Jack Campbell came up by him, and I said, Charlie, stop, watch. That's the difference. Like, Jack Campbell's like 10 inches bigger than him. I mean, he's huge. Yeah. That's what makes Jack Campbell different, isn't it? Is that he's doing what good middle linebackers do, but he's 6'5".
Yeah, he can do everything at a high level. He can cover, and he can play the run, which, the NFL kind of switched to more of a smaller linebacker because you could cover. But you've got Jack Campbell, who's 9 feet tall, but just as fast as these small linebackers. And, he can play 250 or however much he weighs. He can fill the run as good as anybody. To have a guy that can do that there's not a lot of those. Greenway was a guy from Iowa that could do that. And Josie and Hitchens and all those guys, and Kirksey, all those guys could do that as well too. I couldn't do it as well. There's things that I watched Jack Campbell do that I'm like, he's on another level, like not even close to where I was. Like he's insane.
He's going to get paid this offseason. because
I hope so.
his rookie deal comes
Well,
up
what is
next
this?
year.
Is he on his second year right now?
This is his third, so he's got one left.
This is his third.
And then they have the option for a fifth. But, like, I think that draft class, and I don't want to get into Lions football, but it was Gibbs and Laporta and Jack Campbell and Brian Branch, and they're all up for extension possibilities, and you got to pay them. And I know it sounds crazy as a linebacker, and I kind of want to get to a good segue to what's going on. Did you know that the transfer portal's open? Had you heard that people are in and out of the transfer portal?
I just want to thank God, and then I'm going to list every reason why I shouldn't transfer, and then I'm going to transfer. I'm so tired of that. Like, someone's got to figure out a different. Like, just say, hey, I wanted to play on a better team, or I wanted more money. Just be honest. Say whatever, or just say, hey, I don't like these coaches. I don't like this. I don't like that. Just be honest. Go heel, man. If you're gonna go heel.
It's like, I want one person to be like, this place sucked. I didn't play enough. I'm going to go someplace else where I can play more. Like, that's. And
you feel bad. I feel bad for the guys that when they post the videos of their transfer portal, like, hey, I'm in the transfer portal, and it's just practice. It's just videos of them at practice. Like, maybe just try harder and work harder, so then you have like game film to put out there.
It's crazy.
Maybe get some game film before. Get some game film before you transfer. I don't know.
You don't like the practice stuff. I can agree with that. It reminds me of when Jen eventually leaves me and like puts that Facebook post out that like she's divorcing me, and she's not going to be like, Matt was handsome and great and such a good father and all this. She's not going to, and then people would read it and go, then why are you leaving him? She's going to be like, he's awful. He's ugly. All those kind of. We won't get.
I'm sure her and my wife have the same post already drawn up,
ready to push send. But I told her she couldn't leave me if I made it a year. She has to wait another year before she can leave me. So she's stuck. Sure. With the University of Iowa, they've added some guys. I know that I asked Kakert about some of them, and even just texting and talking to him, and you don't know a lot about some of them. They've added 3 so far. A kicker's one of them, a safety from Villanova, and then a defensive tackle from Holy Cross. Do you know anything about them? It seems like Iowa's looking to take those guys that are having success maybe at a level lower and giving them an opportunity in the Big Ten. Your thoughts on what Iowa's done so far in the transfer portal?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't paid too much attention. I did see the video of that D tackle, and I should know his name. I thought I saw like 4 plays. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked good.
Bryce
played
Stevenson.
Yeah,
I got my portal list. I got a transfer list, and so I don't mess things up. Go ahead.
He just watching him play. Obviously, it's highlights, but watching him play, like he ran to the ball, he was sideline to sideline. He used his hands really well. He was explosive. Looked really good. So excited to see him in black and gold. And the other guys, I haven't watched a film on him yet, but I trust Iowa. I will do the right thing. I think the big thing is, Iowa football isn't for everybody. So you've got to not only a lot of teams are just, hey, we want this guy, and it might not fit the program, and they don't care. We want guys that fit in, and the coaches do a good job of evaluating that and bringing in the right guys that are going to fit our culture. And definitely trust what they do. And just it sucks when the season's over because I just wish we could continue to play. But I'm excited for next year. Excited to see these guys that are coming in. Excited to see the guys that haven't got a lot of chance to play yet and are about to get on the field and dominate.
Pat Anger joining us right now in OTA. I'm only going to ask you a few more, and then I'm going to let you go. You looking to next year, is there, I don't want to say an area of concern because it's so early and you don't know who steps up, but is there an area that has your attention this offseason that Iowa, I don't want to say addressed either, that's going to be important next year? Is it the offensive line? They lose some really good guys up there. That defensive front 4 is all gone, and then Brian Allen leaves as well, which is weird to me because you get an opportunity to play a bunch and you leave, but that's besides the point. Where in this team are you curious, are you watching during the offseason? What position?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. I mean, a big thing is quarterback, right? We're going to have a new quarterback in for the, was that 3rd or 4th straight season, something like that. And O-line we're replacing 3 really, really good linemen. Those guys were studs, great Hawkeyes. But I trust the development. I trust Barnett. I think he's an amazing O-line coach. Obviously, he's got the best O-line in the country this year. And you look at Pieper and Lauk. They came in and they replaced 2 NFL guys, and then we ended up being the best O-line in the country, which is super impressive. It says a lot about development there. So yeah, O-line will be interesting. It'll be really cool to see because there's no worry for me. It's more excitement to see, hey, who's going to be the next big name. D-line, O-line and D-line, like those are huge. Like that's Iowa football. So, got a lot of work on both sides of the ball, but the guys that are there, I think are going to do a really good job. And then linebacker will be interesting to see what comes up there. And then obviously got safety, see if we get any receivers. Tight ends will be exciting. We're going to be loaded again with the tight ends. Vanami just finished with an incredible season for his first year. And, and you've got young guys like Bert and Thomas Meyer. And then you got Ostrenga and Wortworth. And, I think one of the things that's going to be tough, and a lot of people don't talk about it, but the loss of Hayden Large is going to be tough. That's going to be huge. I think he was a guy that really brought everybody together. He was kind of a glue type guy with this Iowa football team and, did a lot of the dirty work. Somebody's got to do it, but he was the one that did it and didn't ask questions and didn't complain. He did the dirty work and didn't get a lot of publicity. So his leadership and just his toughness, that'll be a huge loss. Amongst other guys, would love to see Wampa play another year. I thought he did, he did awesome. It's unfortunate that his career's up, but he was coming on really strong and doing well, and then looking forward to watching him on the next level. But you've got Lutmer and Entringer. Those guys are studs. So yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. It's I know media wise you got to talk about the moves and all that stuff in the off season, but for me it's like, hey, whoever's there is going to do a great job, and just looking forward to seeing it.
It's funny because before this season, you mentioned like it's not about because they lost a lot of defense last year. Remember that? And how they can replace the linebackers and the cornerbacks, all that kind of stuff. And you're just like, just watch because we're gonna now know household names next. Yeah. And here we are, and Zach Lutmer and Cohen Entringer, and you saw the guys that developed up front, and I think some of those young linebackers are like really special. Like I think Cam Buffington can be like a Jack Campbell type of guy that can be like a really special athlete and player for the University of Iowa. So that's exciting to see. With the season being over, does Dolph and Corey Sheets, do they just block you? Do you not talk to them again until like August or spring? Like, do they just need time away from you?
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's the big deal. And I don't blame them. We spent a week together, all crammed into one hotel room with one bed. So I'm assuming, they're ready to get away from me.
One bed, just one?
Yeah, one twin.
I was going to say not a king. That'd be weird. And you are coming back for a third year. You didn't enter the transfer portal or anything like that. You didn't get fired in Florida or anything like that. You're good to go for a third year with the University of Iowa?
I hope so. Yeah, I don't know. And the NFL, or not the NFL, Jesus, the radio, it's 1 year deals, right? So hopefully they let us both back. But maybe we'll tell
them. I hope that you tell them that I have to come or you're not going with them because you're the name. I'm just along for the ride. But I need. If they get rid of you, I still need the money, so I'll still probably do it. I apologize. Yeah, no, dang it. But you know what? Like, we got to get Corey and Dolph both down to the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf outing.
I agree. That's the best outing of the year. Is there going to be an announcement coming soon about when it starts and all that?
Well, it's June 20th. We'll announce it soon and all that kind of stuff. The registration is going to be up and going, and it's.
How much are sponsorships? How much are whole sponsors?
$250 per hole.
Ooh.
Right now. Maybe it's more. Quit dancing. Why are you dancing? I can't wait till next year's Pat Hanger highlight reel, and it's going to have you going, woo, doing that. So, hey, buddy, I appreciate it. Thanks for doing this. I'll go easy on you. I won't know if I'll bug you as much but I like your insight. Hey, how about the fact that we changed youth baseball? Do you remember that?
Did we?
No, because the next week they let people in on Fridays for free.
Remember? Yeah, that's true. I still don't trust that whole situation over there.
I don't trust any youth sport in anything, but I do think there's.
No, you're right.
I was told they were going to erect a statue of us over there.
As they should. They should. Or just put our faces on dartboards, whatever.
Either or. It works. Get to work. Thanks,
Hey,
pal.
good. You did great. You did great for a year here on the show, and you did great as the host of the pregame tailgate show. Man, you did awesome. What a big year for you, buddy.
I feel like you're like talking to like a 5-year-old. You did
You
good.
did so good. You did so good, man. I'm so proud of
Did
you.
it. And
You're
you
getting
did it
so
all by
big.
yourself. You're a big boy
You did
now.
good.
Thanks,
did
buddy.
great.
I appreciate it. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. All those kind of things. It's been a fun year, and I don't know why do you associate? Well, I guess why does Joe Conklin associate? But that's a different subject for a different. Hey, why have I gone a year without Joe Conklin being on my show? Can you answer that question?
Yeah, he's big time, man. That guy's big time.
I get it, but like,
If I was him, I wouldn't be on the show. I wouldn't talk to us. So yeah, I understand.
that makes sense. All right, go to work.
Hey, just remember, kicking the ass is one step forward. All right.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, we're just gonna leave it at that. Don't say anything more. Bye, Patrick. We'll see you next time.
See you, buddy.
No, you said so. Gosh dang it! I said don't say anything more. Pat Anger joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Yeah, a year of the show without him getting me in trouble is a big thing as well. So we got a lot more to get to. Coming up after the break, another former Iowa Hawkeye will join us. Rusty VanWetzinga doing good things, big things at Central Michigan, joins us after his season. The Chippewas with a great year under head coach Matt Randazzo, and also Rusty's up for the best fullback in the entire country. We'll explain that and talk to Rusty right after this. You're watching OTA on a Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. It's Tuesday, it's January 6th, and it's the 1-year anniversary of this silly little show that I didn't think would make it a month or 2 or 6. I'd like to give my wife truth serum and like try to find out how long she thought this would last. I think she thought it would last for a while. But anyways, we're celebrating today. Some great guests and one family that's been on the show a lot is the VanWetzinga family, whether it's Big Rusty, Little Rusty, Joey, all that kind of stuff. And I only picked one to be on today. I don't know. Rusty, maybe it's because you're my favorite VanWetzinga. You're the best looking VanWetzinga. You tell me.
Best looking for sure. We already had the debate once.
Yeah, you definitely won that one. Also, most athletic VanWetzinga. Is that a thing or no?
I think so for sure. I think I got Joey beat in the speed category,
Yeah.
so
He might
it
get you
was
in
close for a
strength
little bit, but I
a little
think
while.
I got it now.
Hey, back home right
He's
now.
got me in strength. I won't even.
Back home right now. But you just got done with your first season at Central Michigan. We talked to you throughout the year because obviously making the move from Iowa to Central Michigan, and it was fun to watch what you guys were doing from afar. And Coach Drinkle's doing a fantastic job in year one. You guys make a bowl game, win 7 games. What was, before we talk team wise, what was the transition like for you? We talked to you a few times, but what you saw from the outside looking in at Central Michigan, did it come to fruition for you when it came to your move to Central Michigan?
I mean, it was not gonna lie, it was a little different transition. Going from a big school at Iowa, big community, 40,000, 30,000, whatever it is, people, and then you go to Central and there's about 10,000 people, middle of nowhere, in the middle of January, cold. It was tough for sure. And then there's a lot of uncertainty. Being new to a new program, new teammates, new coaches, a new culture. And then what was really cool is when you show up and then you look back when you first showed up and see how far the program, player, and person, and the growth that Central had. And I think our season showed that. Maybe we kind of started out really, I don't know, maybe like a generic team. Not really knowing what the future was going to look like, how the season was going to go, and then just the success we had throughout the year, trusting our coaches, trusting the culture that we built, and it was really fun year. I'd say it was probably the most fun year I've had in college football for sure.
Absolutely. And you guys hit the ground running with Coach Drinkle. I know he's somebody that you've known and a Quad City guy, and we're super proud of what he's doing here. When did you see that culture come to fruition? I know it's something you liked from the outside looking in, but you didn't know what to expect. And you mentioned kind of generic early. This team found its identity pretty quickly. When did you start seeing this team find that identity? Obviously, I think it was it week 1? Did you go out to San Jose State? Was it week 1 or week 2 and get a victory out there?
Yeah, we did.
But when did you start
Week
seeing?
1.
When did you start seeing? What you were expecting to actually happen on the field itself.
I think the off the field culture stuff I definitely caught on to right away in that first team meeting when when Drinkle stood in front of the team and spoke to us for the first time. But as far as like on the field, I'd say it was definitely spring ball. It was a little awkward for everybody at first because like it was new to everybody, coaches and players included. And maybe we only ran like 3 or 4 plays just until we got really good at those 3 or 4 plays, and then it just how we built and expanded our whole offense, and even defensively the trust our coaches put in our players just to expand the playbook. And now then look at the playbook now and how we played throughout the year, just only got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the trust between the coaches and players only got bigger as well.
Varsity VanWetzinga joining us right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. One of the reasons you told us that you had to make the switch to Central Michigan, a different offense in Iowa City, and they didn't use the quote-unquote fullback as much. It was something that obviously they used you a lot. You're up for the Low Man Award. For pardon my take, going on right now, best fullback in the country. What does that mean? It's a position that you love. Obviously, you played in the backfield in high school and then linebacker as well. What is it about that position, and what's it mean to be up for the best fullback in the country? By pardon my take.
It's pretty cool playing a position where your main job is just to hit people, and that's honestly my favorite part about it. And that old school brand of football that this seems like the game's starting to shy away from more and more and more. It's pretty cool that I'm like I've watched old people that always stop by and text me how good I'm doing and how fun it is to watch me, which is really cool. But yeah, honestly, I was still super shocked when I got nominated for the award. Kind of came out of the blue, out of nowhere. But it was really cool seeing a lot of support from even former Iowa fans were reaching out, supporting me. So it was really cool just to see people in my corner rooting for an award I didn't really see myself getting nominated for at any point in my career.
No, absolutely. I found out via social media because of Iowa fans tagging me on stuff saying, hey, look what Rusty's doing, which is very cool as well. 7 wins. And I know when you talk to any competitor, there's never enough wins when it comes to, I'm sure you wanted 8, 9, 10, whatever. But to know it was Drinkle's first year and your first year up there, and to get to a bowl game and to play at Ford Field in the Motor City Bowl, what did it mean to have some success and to kind of take a good first step as a foundation of what Central Michigan football can be over the next couple of years?
Like you said, it's only setting the standard and we're not really. My personal motto is I'm more into breaking personal standards than I am to keep being an average Joe and hitting the same standard everywhere. So next year, 7 wins isn't acceptable. And I think that as a coaching staff and as a players and the whole team, whole community, we want more than 7 wins. We wanted more than 7 wins this year. But, we had to take stepping stones, learn from this past season, learn from the mistakes, learn from our wins, our losses, regardless, and put something together and put us in position to win more and more games. And, like Drinkle said, we're shooting for MAC championships every year. Get familiar with Ford Field with Central Michigan, because that's the standard, is getting there every year.
You mentioned Coach Drinkle. We talked about him a little bit before. Anyone who doesn't realize this or know this, Coach Drinkle, Matt Drinkle, is the head coach at Central Michigan, a Bettendorf product, and played at the University of Iowa. Great coaching career throughout, building his way up. First head coaching job at the D1 level, doing a fantastic job. We talked about what he meant when it meant you going there. But you got to remember, Rusty, and we talked about this at the time, in the world of the transfer portal, it's speed dating. It is quick. It's where you're going to go. And so while you may have known Drink and you've obviously gotten to know him more, what is it about that guy that makes, that program go, that has high expectations for the future? Getting to know a guy after speed dating for a little while, when it came to quickly making a decision, what have you found out about Matt Drinkle over the last 6 months?
Well, he stays true to his word, that's for sure. He's all about building culture and a winning culture, and he's a players first coach. Like, everything he did and does is for the players and their experience, their college experience, which not many coaches in today's world really care about the true college experience. It's all about paying players to stay or paying players to come. It's really not college. It's semi-pro football is what I tell everybody. And I think at Central, it's one of the last few schools where you really get that true college experience feeling. And Drinkle does a good job at taking care of your true priorities in college, which is getting a degree and becoming a better person by the time you leave.
No, he's doing an amazing job. When it comes to Central Michigan and your guys' success this season, you mentioned the transfer portal, and it is this day and age of college football where everyone's getting in the portal or looking at the portal. You still have eligibility left, obviously, going back to Central Michigan. What is it like as a player? You went through it once. Does it happen again? Do you have to make a decision every year, being at whatever school you're at, that wait a minute, you mentioned semi-pro sports. Is it reevaluate and think, is this where I want to go, or is there other opportunities elsewhere?
Yeah, there was for sure opportunities elsewhere. That's why this is semi-pro football. There's got to be more regulations, because there's schools that, everyone does it. I don't care what anybody says. There's schools that will reach out to players on current teams trying to get guys to leave. It's just the nature of college sports. This is why there's need to be more regulations with NIL, revenue sharing. It's really a mess. It's really just who can outbuy who. That's really the reality of college sports right now. And I don't blame guys for leaving to get paid. But at the end of the day, playing football, I'll take playing football over getting paid to not play any day of the week, for sure.
Absolutely. You're heading back to Central Michigan. Your little brother at Central Michigan, Joey, his freshman season, he played well. How did he do? What was it like being back together again? We talked to you two knuckleheads together on the show. What was his season like, and how'd that go for him?
For Joey, it was good. It was really just a really good opportunity to get thrown into the fire as a true freshman, right at San Jose State. I don't think he really knew what to expect. I didn't know what to expect for him either. But, he did a good job going out there and just competing. Just he's a little undersized, so he's still a freshman. Doesn't weigh he only weighs about 260, which is pretty light for an FBS interior D lineman. So just making sure he stays healthy next year, and wishing him just to get better and healthy, which is going to be a big part of this offseason. And that's really for all of us, really. You play 12 games out a year, you're not going to be healthy by the end of the year. So just getting healthy, get bigger, get stronger, and then, go from there.
Take me through off the field with him. Was it brotherly love? Was there fights like normal, or was there what was it like palling around with your little brother in college?
It's good. We actually live together too at the same apartment complex. So he's my roommate. He lives downstairs. I live upstairs. We share the living room. Can't say he keeps the kitchen clean at all. It's kind of disgusting. But we'll in the summer we'll all go golfing. We went golfing a lot during the summer. We definitely had our verbal arguments. We kind of stay away from the physical arguments and the confrontation now, but definitely had some verbal exchanges on the course and in the house for sure.
I love it. Rusty VanWetzinga joining us from Central Michigan. Week 1 of the high school football season, there was a football game down here in the Quad Cities that had Pleasant Valley and Bettendorf playing a weird game that started in the night and ended in the morning and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line was it was Pleasant Valley beating Bettendorf. Your head coach happened to go to Bettendorf. Did you share the news? Did you let him know of the news? Did you even talk about that rivalry? And he's the head coach. You got to be careful, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, I try not to get too ramped up about high school football with him being my head coach. But no, I didn't have to say anything. He kind of knew. He knew when I came in with a smile that PV definitely won. So he was already He was already aware who won the game and everything. He follows high school football pretty close in Iowa. He's definitely still pretty close with his Quad City ties for sure, which is pretty special.
No, it is. He's very proud of where he came from. That's for sure. A few more for Rusty VanWetzinga before we let him go. You mentioned growing something at Central Michigan. You're staying in Central Michigan. Joey's happy and staying there as well. What is that next step? What does next year look like? How excited are you guys to keep moving? Obviously, need a little break, but how excited are you guys? And what does the next step at Central Michigan look like under Matt Drinkle?
Well, it starts with getting a team out of the portal. I mean, we lost a lot of guys. Bringing in the right guys. We still have a good amount of guys coming back, experienced guys that played. So, for me, it's coming back and going into the tight end fullback room, and keeping the standard that we were left it off and building off of it. So, I'm not so worried about the culture part. Quite frankly, I think Drinkle's a great guy. We have a great staff for the culture part of it. It's about getting a group of guys together to play on the same level and putting the best 11 guys on the field together that play in unison so we can take this thing to the moon. And I think, honestly, we're in a position where we can win out next year without a doubt.
Before I let you go, obviously you put on the Iowa uniform for several years. I know a lot of those guys that had success this year, your friends, your brothers, all that kind of stuff. How closely were you watching what was going on in Iowa City, and your thoughts of this year's Iowa football team as they, crazy roller coaster type of ride, a really good season. Your thoughts on Iowa as you watch from afar?
No, I was happy the way they finished the season this year against Vanderbilt. I watched every game I could. I also had games on Saturdays too, but any chance I had, I would for sure sit down and watch the Hawkeyes, watch some of my old boys, like Kamari Moulton run the ball, see Kenny Merriweather on the edge, just all those guys I used to play with, and it's pretty cool seeing them do their thing now. But yeah, no, it was definitely a different year watching the offense for sure. See the new offense, didn't use a fullback, so that was that. But no, I'm happy for those guys. I don't have any bad blood for Iowa. Just happy they had the success they did throughout the season, and I'm sure there was some turbulence in the water for sure, and how they overcame it when they lost to Iowa State and battled their way through the entire season. Just it kind of shows the culture that Kirk Ferentz, he's built, and that's not a surprise to anybody. Iowa's going to be tough no matter what who goes down or what happens, but they're always going to be there and fighting. So happy for him.
Absolutely. Rusty, before we let you go, I had told several people, hey, Rusty, I'm going to have Rusty VanWetzinga on the show this week. And the first thing they said to me was like, hey, find out if he's coaching or not. Like, is he coach? So I don't want to put you on the spot, but I had to explain to people, not big Rusty, but a little. How do you decipher that? Are you Rusty? Like, how do you at home even? Like, who's Rusty? Who's, I mean, obviously he's dad, so that makes sense. But anyways, don't get in trouble. But do you get that question a lot? And what is he doing? Can you, does he know yet? Don't get in trouble. If you can't tell me, don't get in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I know as just much as you guys, really, to be honest with you guys. He's kind of living at his own pace right now. He's not in a rush to make a decision, really. He's kind of just weighing his options. And, for him, he's a father first.
Yeah.
So, and he's a father and a husband. So honestly, it's kind of like, it's really up to him and what he thinks is best for him and, the family. But from my perspective, it doesn't bother me that he coaches another year. I know I'm in Central Michigan, 6 hours away, so it's tough, sometimes to get to our games. But I don't see him not coaching either, because if you know my dad, if he's not coaching, he'll be coaching in the stands. So
Yes.
yeah, I would prefer to keep him coaching on the sideline.
I just imagine he's out in that garage of your guys's that he's yet to invite me over to. He did an interview from the garage, and he's still yet to, like, I can imagine, like, I'm assuming with college football, semifinals this week, that's a pretty good place to watch the game with dad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We have the garage bar you can open up and down, but it might be a little cold to be opening up the garage. So we'll see. It might be just watching it down in the basement or in the living room. We'll see. I'm not sure yet.
Remind him he still owes me an invite. He brags about it, shows it to me, and then he never invites me over. Hey, I appreciate you. Congrats on the fantastic season. Up for the Low Man Award, a Low Man Award nominee from Pardon My Take. When it comes to the best fullback in the country, really good dude. How's the golf game? Hasn't changed, I'm assuming. It's still the golf game?
Game's way better. Golf game is way
is?
better. I can't
How?
confirm. Yes.
How'd you get better?
Played every day in the summer. Just getting out, being more consistent with it. I got new irons. I'm pretty committed to it now.
Yeah.
So,
we got to figure it out, because I loved having you down at the event. Your dad played in it this year. He was on my team, and he was good. Like, he played his ass off. He was really, no, I'm serious. I'm not just trying to, I don't know if he even said, he goes like, it's not normally like this, but he played really good. I tried to get Drink to come down to the event, and he was interested.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if the coach comes down, he could bring a couple of VanWetzingas with him, and that could be a team. So we'll bug you.
I'm all for it. If we can make it work, I'm all for it.
I love it. Hey, I appreciate you. Enjoy your little time off that you get, and tell your family I said hi. We'll catch up again real soon. Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
All right. That is Rusty VanWetzinga from Central Michigan, up for the Low Man Award. He's a nominee for the best fullback in the country. Really good dude as well. We got more to get to. You're watching OTA on a Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Tuesday, January 6th, which is our anniversary day. It's been 1 year since we've been doing Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And I meant to go through and count up how many times each guest was on and find out which guest was on the most. And I would say between the not so good looking Tom Kakert and the handsome Kyle Huesmann, I would say it's between you two. And Kyle, I think you're really close, especially with baseball season last year and all the things we went through with women's basketball as well. So first and foremost, thank you, because it's been a busy year. We talked at the top of the show. This is my 239th show, and you don't do that many shows in a year without having really good guests, and you were one of them. So thank you for hopping on this little train of whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And I would think that Pat was up there too if you made a list of like a leaderboard of who's on there the most. But yeah, I mean, the fact that I'm on a lot means good things about whether it's women's basketball or baseball, or we talk about soccer and field hockey too. So
yeah.
The fact that I'm on the show a lot means those teams are successful, because I don't know that you'd be asking me to come on if the women's basketball team was going under 500 in Big Ten play or something like that.
Kyle, I talk about it with a lot of people, but and I check my numbers and all that nonsense, probably too much, and people don't need to know about that. But you have to know what works and what people want and what resonates. And if you would have told me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that I started at a goofy little show in my loft, and that the number one thing people wanted to listen to or hear about is Iowa women's basketball, I would have thought you were crazy. That's the truth. When we went and did the preview shows up in Carver Hawkeye, men and women back to back, the women's show both did fantastic, but the women's show did better than the men's show because of where Iowa women's basketball is at. And no Pat, I'm talking about good guests. I try to forget the Pat Anger appearances and things that have been said and all those kind of things as well. So you're still in Chicago. Let's get to actual business at hand. It was a Big Ten night on a Monday night last night for the Iowa women. They get the job done. They beat Northwestern. Kyle, it wasn't pretty. It's a victory on the road in the Big Ten. I guess the headlines that you would have coming out of Iowa's victory over Northwestern last night.
Yeah, I think, it's always interesting when you get a game like this. Iowa comes in, depending on what sports book you're looking at, it was, between 25 and 28 point favorites. And that's kind of what I expected was for Iowa to go in and roll by about that much. I think I had like 94-64 is my prediction. Northwestern just not a great team. They came in 0-3 in Big Ten play. Not very good defensively, and Iowa just didn't play well. And there were some things that kind of contributed to that. Ava Hayden was in foul trouble for the majority of the night. She got limited to 18 minutes. Hannah Stolke might have had her worst game of the season, was 2 of 11 from the floor. Kylie Feuerbach's out for a third straight game. And then Chit Chat Wright was very sick, according to Jan. Said she had a fever before the game and things like that. So Chit Chat, not at her best. And it was kind of a culmination of those things that led to Iowa not playing real great. Got off to a pretty good start. Ava Hayden had the first 12 points of the game. They're up, I think it was like 12-6 or 12-8 in the first quarter. But the fact that she got into foul trouble really kind of derailed things. They were really going to her, and it was really successful early in the game. And all of a sudden you take her out, and then some of the other players around her were struggling, and it just became like kind of a slugfest where neither team was really that successful offensively. And that was kind of the game that Northwestern needed, because they weren't going to be a team that was going to put up 75-80 and go toe-to-toe with Iowa in that way. But yeah, it was just one of those games where it seemed like Iowa was just out of sync. And like I said, there were some things that contributed to that. And obviously your starting point guard being sick doesn't help. And she ended up with Chit Chat ended up with 7 assists but 5 turnovers. And as a team, Iowa turned it over 20 times, which is far too much against the Northwestern team that doesn't force a lot of turnovers. And it felt like a good portion of those turnovers were just kind of unforced, where it was miscommunication or just kind of losing the handle on a ball or something like that. Some uncharacteristic things. And then they shot 44% from the floor, which is a little below average for them. So all in all, it just was kind of, like I said, an out of sync game. There were some things that contributed to that. I felt like they didn't really play that well overall. And once you get into a game and you feel like you aren't playing that well, you're just a little out of sync. It's hard to I would say it's hard to just turn that on and say, oh well, let's just play better. I think that's just kind of the way it is, where all of a sudden it just becomes kind of everything feels forced. And Jan said she felt like in a couple of timeouts the team just kind of looked like maybe a little tentative, just why is this harder than we thought it would be type of thing. And that kind of continued on for the most of the game. And as you said, they found a way to get a 9-point win on the road. And Jan said after the game, we kind of asked her just how did she approach a win like this? Because it is still a win. They are still 4-0 in Big Ten play. But, I mean, they won by 9, and that was a 4-point game with a minute to play. And she said she walked into the locker room, and you would have thought, based on the team's reaction, that they lost the game. So Jan went with the more positive approach after the game because of, how the team was handling it, and said, she didn't want the team to hang their head because they did still win a game, and they are still 4-0 in Big Ten play, which doesn't happen very often. I think it's just the third time since 1996, and one of those was with the Caitlin team a couple years ago. So not very common for Iowa to start 4-0 in Big Ten play. So she still wanted to have that be the focus, like, hey, we are still undefeated in Big Ten play. But then also said they're going to go back and intently watch the film and figure out kind of what went wrong last night, because even though they did win and they are 4-0 in Big Ten play, that was a very sloppy game in a number of ways last night.
You mentioned it, Kyle. It seemed like, and maybe in the locker room, she said it seemed like they lost. Boy, social media, if you were following along, kind of not the same way. It's not like it was overly negative, but there was worries and concern. Do you look at it as someone who covers this program extremely closely? Do you look at it as one of those, they just beat Nebraska at home in a great environment and a ranked team, and it's that sluggish road game in the Big Ten, and you mentioned it. That's where the line 25-28, 30 points. Everyone expected them to show up and just show up, and they get a victory. They get the win. Was it a culmination of that, or are there the actual concerns with this basketball team as we get deeper into Big Ten play?
Yeah, I think there are, maybe a few things. I don't know about concerns. Some things that I'm interested in watching as the season goes on, and I'll get into that in a second. But, I mean, yeah, to your point, coming off a big win at home, this is kind of a classic letdown spot to, as you said, go on the road. It's a location where they bust to Evanston. They're not flying to O'Hare and wherever. They're busting to Evanston. So it's just kind of a weird game, like you said, a game where all the fans, media. I mean, I myself thought they could basically walk in and win that game by 20 points, and they didn't. So yeah, I mean, it is kind of one of those letdown games to a certain extent. But there were some things that happened in that game and you mentioned, the fans, some of them melting down a bit. I think the first thing is you say, yeah, like they only won by 9 against Northwestern. They probably should have won by 15, probably should have won by 20, maybe even more than that. But yeah, as you said, they still did just beat Nebraska, who was top 20 at the time. They had Baylor back in the Thanksgiving tournament and beat them, who by the way just went and beat Iowa State. They're back into the top 20, and they went right down to the wire with Iowa State names. So it's not like, maybe if this was Iowa's Big Ten opener and they hadn't played anyone in non-conference play, you'd be a little worried. But there's other games that Iowa's played that it has shown what this team can be this season. They've beaten a couple of ranked teams. So it's one of those where it's funny to watch in real time as the fans kind of react to a close game. And there's comments about, oh, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that in the NCAA tournament, they're not going to do this in Big Ten play. And people just kind of forget about what has already happened this season in some games. So that's just one of those things that you come to expect from fans. But, there were a couple of things like Hannah Stolke going 2 of 11. Kind of felt like she had turned a corner over the last few games. She was really good against Lindenwood, was pretty good in the UConn loss even, and then was really good against Penn State and Nebraska. Felt like maybe she was turning the corner and being more consistent. Just had a really off night last night. 2 of 11, was 4 of 8 from the free throw line after going 7 of 7 against Nebraska. Maybe not that performance in particular, but they need her to be closer to what she was the last 4 games, much closer to what she was the last 4 games than what she was last night, if this team wants to check off some of the goals that they have for this season. And Ava Hayden was great last night. I mean, 9 of 11 from the floor, 5-6 at the free throw line, 23 points, 5 rebounds. The issue is she played 18 minutes. That's a phenomenal stat line for 18 minutes. I mean, you're talking about if she played 40 minutes, she would have scored almost 50 points. And that's what it looked like when she was on the floor. They were getting her the ball a lot when she was in the game, and she was scoring on basically every time she touched it. But the issue is that she played 18 minutes in what ended up being a close game. It's because she had 4 fouls. And some of those, maybe they were just, regular fouls that happen over the course of a game, but she's still trying to learn, what is being too aggressive on defense, what's being too aggressive on offense, and what can you get away with at times. And that's something that they have to continue to work on. It has to get get fixed sooner rather than later. Because I would say that her being in foul trouble last night is a lot of what contributed to the game being so close. Like I said, she scored the first 12 points of the game. I think if she plays 25, 28 minutes, they probably win by 15 or 20 points. I mean, she was on the floor for 18 minutes and 13 seconds. They were plus 21 in those 18 minutes. So they had no issues when she was on the floor. It was when she came off the floor with her foul trouble. And then it didn't help that Layla Hayes comes in and plays almost 8 minutes, and she also had 4 fouls in 8 minutes. So Ava Hayden has to get that foul trouble figured out, and she had for a couple of games. Penn State was really good. Nebraska was pretty good. They didn't really get into any serious foul trouble in either of those games. And you see when she's able to stay on the court for 25, 28, 30 minutes, the team plays really well with her. And because she's the most important player on the team, she's had a very good season when she's been able to be on the court. But going forward, you start talking about some of the other games. Iowa's had some easier Big Ten games so far. They played Rutgers. They've got Northwestern. They already played Penn State. You're starting to run out of teams at the bottom of the Big Ten. They got Purdue and then Wisconsin in the season finale, which is a long way away. They got a lot of ranked teams coming up. And if they're going to win a lot of those ranked games or half of those ranked games or whatever they want to win, Ava Hayden has to be on the court for far longer than 18 minutes. She cannot – I mean, maybe you can get away with it against a Purdue or a Wisconsin. You can't go to Maryland in a couple of weeks, and you can't play Ohio State at home. You can't play Michigan at home. You certainly can't go to Los Angeles for 2 games and have Ava Hayden play 18 minutes. You'll lose by 20 points against the USC or UCLA if she plays 15, 18 minutes trouble. So that's something that she's got to get figured out. It's a lot of it is she likes to be aggressive. She likes to try to block shots. She likes to try to maybe defend a post entry pass. She likes to try to get offensive rebounds. And there's a time and a place for that. And sometimes you just can't go for that offensive rebound. Sometimes you can't go for the block shot. You just need to defend normally. And that's still something that they're working on. Jan said that a lot of it is getting in the film room, whether it's Jan herself or with Randy Henderson, who's the post coach, getting in the film room and watching previous games, watching practice film and saying, this was a stupid foul. You can't do this. This was you can't try to block this shot. You can't try to steal this pass. And like I said, it's something that's got to get fixed sooner rather than later. There were some other things last night. Taylor Stremlow had an off night, 3 assists, 4 turnovers. She's been really good this season. I mean, she's the leading assist person on the team. She stepped in some tough spots when Chit Chat's been injured or out of the lineup. It just was off last night, and Chit Chat was sick last night. So she finishes, 2 of 6 from the floor, with 7 of 8 at the free throw line, which was big, but 7 assists to 5 turnovers. Very uncharacteristic for her. She's not a big turnover person. Jan also mentioned that in the huddle when they really would have liked to have somebody speaking up and being a voice for this team. Chit Chat's been getting better at that, but sick last night, was not very vocal. So it was kind of a double last night that she wasn't playing her best because she's sick, but then also she doesn't feel like she can step up vocally because she's sick, not feeling great. In a game where they might have needed someone to say, hey, let's go, let's figure this out. So there were some things that, like I said, last night was maybe just kind of that type of game. Like I said, coming off a big win, you got to go on the road, you got to bust to Evanston, that type of thing. Not an excuse, because I still think they should have won by 20 points or more. But there were a few things that we'll see if it continues on, but stuff that if you look at the full season performance by some of these players, seemed just kind of like an off night for them. But I would say Ava Hayden and Hannah Stolke were the two that you kind of come away from this game being like, all right, these are 2 players that need to figure it out a little bit. Hannah needs to be more consistent with her field goal percentage, and Ava Hayden needs to be more consistent with her staying out of foul trouble, because those two, Stolke and Hayden, when they're able to hit their full minutes load and they're consistent, with their field goal percentage, they're efficient players. We've seen exactly what they can do in terms of, what was it against Penn State? They put up like 39 points and 15 rebounds. Those are 2 players that they need on the floor and being efficient. And that's something that they need to hit that level of consistency really soon, because you're starting to get close to a lot of really good teams on the schedule.
Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report joining us from Chicago, still working hard up there as he covered Iowa and Northwestern last night, Big Ten battle on a Monday night. Kyle, you mentioned Stolke, you mentioned Hayden, you throw Chit Chat in there. Who's the MVP of this season so far for the University of Iowa? And you can answer what MVP is in whatever way you want to when it comes to, is it your best player, is your most important player, all those kind of things. But you mentioned, and I you look at the line, Ava Hayden is We saw it at the end of last year. I didn't know if she'd make this type of jump. People expected her to be really good, but she's one of the best bigs in the conference already. Who's the MVP? And then we also know what Chit Chat is and what it was like maybe without her at times. Who's the MVP of this team right now as we get ready to rock and roll in January?
I mean, no doubt it's Ava Hayden, in my opinion. I don't think there's much argument for that. You mentioned Chit Chat. I think I'll throw her in here for a second. That is quietly, and last night aside, like I said, very sick, had a fever. I'm sure other stuff that came along with that fever, that feeling great. But last night aside, and when she's been healthy, has been a phenomenal addition to this team. And I don't want to be disrespectful to any other players that were on the team last year or something, but they got an upgrade at point guard compared to what they would have on this team this year if Chit Chat was not here. And she's been phenomenal for this team to do what she's done in terms of being that calming force at the point guard position. We've talked, forever about her ability to not force things on the offensive end and make the smart play a lot of times. So I think there's something to be said about what she's done this season. She's been a very important player. But there's no doubt that Ava Hayden's the MVP of this team. And she's only averaging 23 minutes a game from the foul trouble that she's gotten into. And certainly, there's been some blowouts in there that she hasn't played a full minutes load. But she's averaging 16 points and 7.6 rebounds in 23 minutes. I mean, that's very close to what, like 30 points over 40 minutes and 13, 14, 15 rebounds. Those are really impressive per 40 minutes numbers. And she's shooting 66% from the floor, which at the updated, NCAA stats, that's top 5 in the country, maybe even top 3 in the country in terms of efficiency. So to average that much over that only 23 minutes a game and be up there in terms of efficiency, she's been great. And I haven't ran the numbers. That's something to do this morning in terms of I do the how the team performs on and off the court. With certain players. Ava Hayden's numbers stand out immediately, and you say she's clearly the best or the most important, best player, whatever you want to say. The offense is way better with her on the court, and the defense even is much better with her on the court. So someone, like I said, very important for her to continue to work on the fouling thing. Like I said, I think last night in particular, she finishes with 18 minutes and 13 seconds. She plays 25, 28 minutes. I think they win by 20 points. I really do, and I think she probably puts up 30 points. And if she's able to stay out of foul trouble, that probably means she did a better job defensively as well. So maybe Northwestern doesn't get to the free throw line as much, and whatever. I think last night in particular would have been one where if Ava was out there more, they would have won easier. But like I said, when they start playing, the Marylands and the Ohio States and USC and UCLA and Michigan and all the other teams that I'm probably forgetting at this point, Ava has to be out there for 25 plus minutes a game. And to me, when you're talking about someone like that you're saying they have to be out there, they have to be this, and you can start looking at individual games and say if they would have played more minutes, Iowa probably wins by more. That's how you kind of signify an MVP of the team. Like I said, I think Chit Chat's been great. I think her addition has been huge for this team. But Ava, to me, it's almost no doubt that she's the MVP of the team at this point.
Which is amazing to think about because I think you start the season and Hannah Stolke is probably the first name out of your mouth when you talk about who needs to be the best player on the court. And Chit Chat's been fantastic, and obviously Ava Hayden's been really good as well. And when Hannah's good, she's really, really good. And we're looking more consistency as we get into Big Ten play, and Iowa's going to need that from her. Who's the freshman of the year on the Iowa Hawkeyes? And maybe another surprising one, maybe if you agree with me, maybe you don't. But who's the freshman of the year for Iowa in a class that there hasn't been a ton of big minutes? I mean, they're playing and they're contributing, but nobody's starting, nobody's in the lineup right away. And I think maybe we would have both thought that Addie Deal maybe was in the starting lineup or by now in the starting lineup. Who's the freshman of the year for the Iowa basketball team as we got through about a halfway through the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's Journey Houston right now. And I think, Layla Hayes has been, for the most part, a pretty solid at the center position. And Addie Deal's still trying to find her way in terms of, kind of finding her offensive role and figuring out the speed and the physicality of, not only Division I basketball, but now Big Ten play. I think some people are, I think we have to temper our expectations a little bit with her. I think, and we're at fault for this too. Assuming that she would walk in and be a starter and be a big contributor for this team. And, not necessarily, she's not a bad basketball player. It's just taking a little bit of time for her to kind of grow into her role and understand what it takes to be, a heavy or high level contributor at the Big Ten level. And it takes that for some freshmen sometimes. And I think if a lot of people look at, 4, whatever, 5-star, depending on who you look at, and they just assume that, well, that must mean that she's going to go average 10 15 points a game, right? And you go back over the years, and if you look at the recruiting rankings, yeah, there's a lot of really good 5-stars that came in and average however many points a game, but there's also some players in there that you look at and say, you know what, it took them a year and a half, maybe they had to transfer somewhere even. So not to say IDD is going to transfer. I should shut that down immediately. I'm not going to say that's not what I'm insinuating at all.
Don't do that.
But I'm saying that everybody likes to talk about, Caitlin was a very high level, 5-star. She comes in and does what she does. Paige Beckers was a very high 5-star. Angel Reese was a very high 5-star, was very good at Maryland, very good at LSU. Everybody remembers those. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them in that 5-star, high 4-star category that came in and contributed immediately as freshmen. But there are still some, they say it took a couple of years for them to hit their high level. And that maybe that's what added deal takes. Sometimes I still think it's early right after the Christmas now. Sometimes you start to see freshmen about this time of year where stuff starts to click a little bit better. Just because, first semester is a lot of, the summer especially, they get to campus and it's all about learning the offensive system. It's about, being away from home for the first time and all that stuff that comes with being away from home in that summer, and you're just overloaded with information. Then all of a sudden you throw school into it, and now you got to balance college and college basketball. And once you hit that winter break and you start second semester, that's when they start to, okay, I've been through a semester of college, I've been through a summer of practice, I've been through the first half of the season, and that's when they start to fall into a bit of a routine a little bit more. And I think maybe it could happen for Addie Deals. Now she's been through it a little bit, she's had some of the experience. Maybe you start to see it click for her a little bit more as we hit the back half of the season. I think that's something that you would hope for if you're the coaching staff, because we talk about Hannah Stolke, Ava Hayden, some of these other players on this team that need to continue to be consistently good for this team to do what they want to do, which is beat a bunch of ranked teams in Big Ten play, contend at the Big Ten tournament, contend for a Sweet 16, maybe even a Elite 8 at the NCAA tournament. If Addie Deals someone that all half of the season starts, she doesn't have to be a double-digit score, but if she starts to consistently be someone that, hey, she did score 10 points tonight, or one night she has 4 points and maybe 3 or 4 assists or 5 assists or something like that, if she can start to get a level where she can come in and have noticeable contributions, that'll be huge for this team. But it's just kind of a matter of, when does it start clicking? We talk about Ava Hayden. Ava Hayden's a great example. Didn't get a ton of minutes last year to maybe show earlier in the season, but finally kind of got to click late in the season. It was right at postseason play, and now we see the player that she is right now. I think people are disappointed at times with Addie Deal, and maybe it takes until the very end of Big Ten play. Maybe it's the postseason when she starts to play well. Maybe it is next year, because like I said, Ava Hayden was 4 or 5 games from it being the jump that came this year. So it just takes some time for some freshmen at times. But I'm going off on a long tangent about Addie Deal, and when I said that Journey Houston is the freshman of the year to this point. Last night in particular, 5.6 rebounds. Again, just someone that comes in and, not necessarily someone that steps up on the scoring side and you go, oh, wow, stepped up and had 12 points. It's the rebounding side generally. I mean, she's averaging 14 and a half minutes a game and 5 rebounds, 5.5 rebounds even, and just under 5 points. She always seems to come in and maybe it's that big offensive rebound, or she gets on the floor for a ball and helps, get a steal or something like that. Or it's a big offensive rebound that turns into a basket for herself or a kick out for a 3 or something. Just always seems to be in the right place to make the right play. And she's been the one that has had the most noticeable contributions and those contributions that you say maybe in a big spot of a game, well, that was a really big play to maybe open something up for the team. So she's been really impressive in terms of just how she's come in and kind of fit right into. I don't think they'd love a little bit more. But I think the role that she's kind of fit into is kind of the perfect role for her. You're not going to play. Sometimes you're going to play 10 minutes. Last night she played just over 20 minutes. But just come in and in those minutes, be a force on the glass. Make some contributions there. And if you finish with 5-8 points, great. But I think they want her to come in and make those, whether it's a couple of offensive rebounds, some big defensive rebounds, a couple of steals, just those plays that sometimes it takes that particular player. And I think Taylor Stremlow is kind of that certain cloth that we talk about, like Taylor Stremlow, a Kate Martin, a Sita Fulter, some of those plays that only those players seem to make for whatever reason. Jordan Houston comes those Taylor Stremlow type plays, those Sita Fulter type plays where it's like, I don't think anyone else would have grabbed that offensive rebound, or I don't think anyone else would have gotten that steal. And she's done a really good job of filling that role this season. So we'll see what happens with Layla Hayes and Addie Deal and Journey over the last half of the season. But right now, I would have Journey Houston as the freshman of the year.
Kyle, before we let you go, Iowa plays on the road on Sunday against Indiana. But I wanted to ask you, you look at Coach Jensen and what she's done. And if I would have told you before the season that Hannah Stolke would be inconsistent, that Chit Chat would miss time because of injuries, that Kylie Fearback would miss time because of injury as well, that Emily Rodriguez has barely played, and that Addie Deal struggles as a freshman early on, you would have said what? And then look at the University of Iowa 4-0 in Big Ten play. What would you have thought if I told you all those things, right before the start of the season?
Yeah, I think if you would have said that, and Hannah's field goal percentage is up from last year even, but I think if you would have told me at this point of the season that she was 2 of 9 from 3-point range, and I don't have her, outside the paint shooting numbers, it's not good. She hasn't shot it well outside of the paint this season. If you would have told me those numbers and then said that she's shooting 55% at the free throw line, I would have said that that's the kind of the play that we said you don't want to stray too far from where she's at right now. She's still averaging 13.5 a game and 8 rebounds, so the numbers there are good. But I think, you're getting close to that area. If she really, like last night, the 2 of 11, that's kind of what we saw last season at times, so I would have been concerned with that. Again, I don't know if you would have let me look at the stat point, but Chit Chat's averaging 13 a game, and that's with a couple of games where she left the Lindenwood game early, so she gets a half of not playing that counts against that average. And the Rutgers game, she played like 5 minutes, and then the rest of that didn't count. So I think when she's healthy, she's probably averaging close to 15 a game, which would have surprised me. She's kind of been the one that has stepped up when you talk about some of those other things that have happened. Chit Chat, when she's been healthy, has been the one that has stepped up in the scoring department. I thought maybe 12 points a game, 10, 12 points a game. So where she's at right now is ahead of what I expected. But yeah, this team's found ways. And I think you mentioned, the Kylie Fearbach being out and Chit Chat being out. Taylor Stremlow was the one that kind of in those spots. And that was the question coming into the year was, and I think Taylor Stremlow was playing exactly like I thought she could play. But that was the question coming. Last year, it had some moments where it was like, that was a lot of turnovers that she had in that stretch. But then she'd also come in and say, wow, look at that pass. And, she finished with 5 assists in some short time. And then she'd make a couple of big, again, like the Journey Houston type plays. And then, the other question was, could she be a more consistent shooter? And she's answered all those questions. She's been a much more consistent shooter. Her turnovers are still at times an issue, but the assist rate has gone way up. And she's done a great job in some certain situations. You look back at the Baylor game, they don't win the Baylor game if Taylor Stremlow doesn't come in and effectively operate that offense when Chit Chat goes down. Do they win the Miami game if she isn't able to, they struggled in that game offensively, but to have someone like a Taylor Stremlow to play that game a day after Chit Chat gets hurt and lead them to a win, she was huge. And she stepped up in, the Lindenwood game when Chit Chat left early. I know it was a blowout. Rutgers game, I know that was a blowout, but Taylor Stremlow's done a fantastic job in the moments when Chit Chat has not been able to go, stepping in and kind of being thrust in at times unexpectedly, has done a good job in that role. And I think overall this team has just had some players in certain games that have stepped up and made some big plays when another player isn't playing as well. Taylor McCabe has not been shooting it well as of late, but they still picked up a huge win over Nebraska. They still picked up a win over Penn State, and they picked up a gritty win last night, even though Taylor McCabe hasn't been shooting it as well. And like you said, Emily Rodriguez has been out. She's only played in 6 games, and Kylie's missed the last 3 games. So, yeah, I would be kind of surprised that they've gotten to where they have, especially if you didn't give me the stat sheet. If you just kind of ran through the list of everything that's happened, I would have said, man, they've probably taken a couple more losses than I expected. But right now, 13-2 and 4-0 in Big Ten play, that's what I had in my preseason preview. And I certainly wouldn't have projected Emily Rodriguez to be out. And I certainly wouldn't have projected Chit Chat to, she's only finished probably 8 games this season, full games this season. Yeah. So, yeah, I think in terms of what you talk about, some of the weird, inconsistency with maybe it's injuries or other stuff or some of the play at times, for them to be exactly the record, I had 13-2 with the exact same results to this point. It is, I wouldn't say surprising, but it's one of those that gives you hope that, okay, if Ava Hayden can work on the foul trouble and continue to get better, if Hannah Stolke can, like that 4-game stretch that she just had prior to last night, if that is something that she can get closer to and be consistent in that way, and if Chit Chat can just finish the rest of the season, not be sick, not be hurt, not whatever, you get Kylie Fearbach back, and Taylor Stremlow keeps the playing the way that she has been, and Taylor McCabe kind of gets out of this rut she's been in. There's a lot of things that you say, like if they can just be consistent across the board, this team can still be fantastic. I mean, there's not many teams in the Big Ten that you say, is UCLA the only one that you would say, yeah, they're probably going to lose that game?
Yeah.
At Maryland's always been tough for them, but I don't think Maryland is unbeatable. I think there's probably one team in the Big Ten that on any given night Iowa probably won't beat, and that's UCLA. But it's going to take Iowa being consistent across the board with all their players to be able to win a lot of those games, and I think they can. But as you mentioned, you ran through the list of things that have happened this season. You gotta calm that down a little bit. Some of it's play on the court, some of it's injuries, some of it's other stuff. They've got to find a way to kind of get to a more consistent where it's not every night you're saying, oh, so-and-so was out and then so-and-so didn't play well. And the next thing is, well, now so-and-so was out and they were sick or whatever. They just need a little bit more consistency from everybody. But, I mean, right now, 13-2, 4-0 in Big Ten, certainly cannot argue about that in any way.
No, absolutely. It's been a fantastic start. Despite the things that have happened, they go to Indiana on Sunday. It's crazy because you look at Sunday and there's a really big home game for Iowa basketball and there's a road game for Iowa basketball. And it seems like so many times in recent years, it's been the women at home that everybody's been looking at and maybe the guys on the road. I think maybe flip this year where make sure Iowa takes care of business against an Indiana team that's struggled this season. And then obviously Iowa, Illinois on Sunday. So, of course, Kyle has everything you need when it comes to women's basketball, some baseball news, pop-in, all those kind of things. HawkeyeReport.com. Happy New Year, my friend. Hope all is well. Drive safe, get back home, all that kind of stuff. And we'll catch up with you again real soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. And I'll be down in Bloomington on Sunday. So I'm probably going to – I don't even know. What time is the men's game at on Sunday? For
11 a.m. What's the women?
Oh, the women are at 4, so I'll be able to tune into the men's game. I think I'm heading out to Bloomington on Saturday. That 4 p.m. game is tough. I think I'd have to leave at like 7 a.m. to get there, and so I'm gonna be in Bloomington on Saturday. And but yeah, I mean, a game that you mentioned it right there though. That a couple of years ago you heard Iowa at Indiana. You'd be like, oh, that's must-watch television, right? With Caitlin and they had Mackenzie Holmes and all those players that they had for a couple of years. Indiana's 0-4 in Big Ten play and have not looked good. 0-5 in Big Ten play, I believe. No, sorry, they play Nebraska on Thursday. They could be 0-5 in Big Ten play come Sunday. So really surprising to see Indiana kind of to fall to where they have been. But a game that it's still a road game. We just saw what happened at Northwestern last night. At Indiana is a step above that for sure. So Indiana has not played well, but Iowa is going to have to play much better if they want to win at Indiana. But yeah, men's game. I can't wait to tune into that one. It is kind of nice to see the crowd come back. It was nice to see them have a pretty full crowd for the UCLA game. And as you mentioned, it's the first time in a while where both teams have played on the same day, and you said, well, the men's game is much more important than the women's one.
You mentioned, and that's the concern maybe with Indiana coming up on Sunday is, I mean, it's still a well-coached program, and you mentioned a step up in competition from Northwestern, and if they lose Thursday, a extremely desperate team at 0-5 in the conference. So a sneaky tough game for Iowa. You look at the schedule and you look at the records, you think Iowa should win that one pretty easily. It'll be a sneaky good game. And this is my other little tangent. I tell people I'm going to start eating healthy and I'm doing all that kind of stuff after the new year and after those holidays mess me up. Look at this weekend. I mean, how on Sunday, if it's crappy outside, do you not sit in your house and watch NFL playoff football and then Iowa, Illinois at 11 o'clock and then Iowa, Indiana women at 4? There's no reason to go to the gym. Just go watch great sports. So that's my issue, my problem. In fact, I'm going to be in Iowa City on Sunday for the Iowa-Illinois game. Corey Sheets has been giving me too hard of a time for not coming around for the basketball program, so I'll be up there as well. So, hey, travel safe. And like I said, everybody.
I got one more thing for you. Yeah. You hit a good point there that I had not thought about yet. Just because, obviously Iowa just played last night. You're right, though. If Indiana loses at Nebraska on Thursday and they're 0-5 in Big Ten play, you do talk about, and it's an Indiana team that's probably not 0-5 bad. No. They played a tough schedule. They played at Illinois. They played Michigan State, who's ranked. They played at Maryland, who's ranked. They played Minnesota at home, who's a good team. And they're going to play at Nebraska. So that's not a schedule that how did they lose to that team? Those are all really good teams. But you mentioned the part that you cannot account for at times is a team that's 0-5 that's probably more of like a 3-2 type team, but they just haven't played the schedule. They haven't played well enough. You can't account for a team that is desperate playing against another ranked team at home. It's something that Iowa has to be, especially if Indiana goes and loses to Nebraska. It's something that you have to be cautious of because we've seen it over the years. Maybe not for Iowa, but just over the years. You see, that team that's 0-5, probably not clearly. They're clearly not an 0-5 team. And then they come in and so puts up 30 points. And it's like, they just needed that game at home or whatever. Iowa, like I said, Iowa cannot play like they did against Northwestern. Otherwise, that desperate Indiana team, if they're 0-5, will beat Iowa.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that you can't account for. Is that 0-5? Maybe it's at 1-4. We'll see what happens with Indiana on Thursday. But if it is 0-5, that's something that you can't account for. Is the team with their backs up against the wall that they're staring down 0-6, and they've got 2 more ranked teams after Iowa, so they're staring down 0-6, maybe 0-7, maybe even 0-8. So you can't account for that extra little juice that comes when your backs are up against the wall. So certainly a game that you can't look at 0-5 and say, oh, the Indiana sucks. That's definitely not the case when you go, and that's a place that Iowa's really, really struggled. I believe they won 1 of their last 8 there.
Yeah.
So yeah, certainly a game that they have to be very cautious of.
Watch it on Sunday, and then, of course, keep locked with Kyle Huesmann on X and Hawkeye Report and all those kind of things. Be good, my friend. Enjoy breakfast or lunch or whatever's next. Be safe getting home. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
All right, that is Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report. I would say easily a top 3 when it comes to appearances on the show in the first year, and there's a reason why. The wealth of knowledge, and that's a road game for Iowa women's basketball, and I don't know what the media situation was like last night, but there's Kyle Huesmann in Chicago covering that team. And then, Sunday, there's a trip to Indiana. And I know there's going to be a lot of Iowa media going to cover Hawkeye with very good reason. And Kyle's going to be in Indiana. So one of the best in the business when it comes to covering Iowa women's basketball. We thank Kyle for everything he's done for this goofy little show over the last year. We got more to get to after the break. We'll be back. You're watching OTA on a Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Tuesday, January 6th. It's been 1 year of us doing this goofy little show up on my loft above the garage, and it's been fun. Everything going well, and we've appreciated you guys for watching each and every day and continuing to support what we do here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. A couple more things before we get out of here today. There's some news during the show that broke. The Iowa Hawkeyes have a new defensive end. Kamari Brown is officially committing to Iowa, transferring from Elon. He has 16 and a half sacks at defensive end the last 2 seasons, 12 last year. So a nice part. And Iowa kind of, they identified 3 or 4 guys here to start things out, and actually got the Iowa transfer list. I didn't even put him on there. So Bryce Stevenson, Eli Osick, a kicker from North Dakota State, and Anthony Hawkins, DB from Villanova, and now Kamari Brown, a defensive end from Elon. joining the Iowa Hawkeyes right now. So we'll have more of that tomorrow a little bit on the show as we continue through the transfer portal season. Also, getting ready to meet with the media right now is Matthew Bailey down in Champaign, along with Brett Bielema. So, obviously, we talked about it at the top of the show. Matthew Bailey coming back to Illinois for another season, waiting on the NFL for one more year before he starts playing on Sunday. So, hopefully, we can catch up with Matthew Bailey soon right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Really one of my favorite people, an outstanding young man, great career here at Moline, and then has done awesome things at the University of Illinois as well. Firings up and down the NFL. Yesterday was the main day. Cliff Kingsbury will no longer be the offensive coordinator at Washington or in Washington. And it's weird because, I think back to last year and the best quarterback of that group was Jaden Daniels. And the reason why everyone said was because he had the coaching and it was Cliff Kingsbury. And now here we are a year later and Cliff Kingsbury is no longer with the I almost said Redskins, the Commanders. So it's just crazy how quickly things changed. Last year, he was not the reason, but part of the success of Jaden Daniels, and now he's looking for a new job. And you look at maybe vice versa. You look at Caleb Williams, who didn't have any coaching last year and now has Ben Johnson and playing better. Still not great, in my opinion, but better than his rookie season. So we'll talk much more Bears and Packers throughout the week. The NFL postseason kicks off this weekend. Huge weekend of games. It'll be a big weekend of sports with Iowa and Illinois on Sunday, the Iowa women on Sunday. So many things to get to right here on OTA. Before we go, the biggest story of the day is there's a birthday in the Randazzo household. Carson Randazzo, my baby, my youngest, is now 9 years old. Having a birthday today. And you see Carson on the show a lot, especially with Ness guests. This smiling guy is now 9 years old. Thing with our bet, because this guy is Team Ness.
Carson Nessler.
Yeah, he's Team Ness from the jump. So I asked him, and he said he's in. If I come back and make the biggest comeback of all time.
Of ever.
Will you both take a pie in the face?
Fine, whatever.
You're in?
Fine, whatever.
Okay, now,
give me
if
some.
I lose, you'll help Ness put a pie.
Oh, yeah.
How about this?
Oh, yeah.
I'll change it up a little bit.
No, you
Hold
get
on.
2 pies. And
Two pies. I was
you
just
probably need to cover it up.
Yeah, so cover up my whole face, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll do that. I will take 2 pies. I'll let you give me a pie and Ness give me a pie. All right, shake on it.
Okay.
All right, get out of here.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, scram, okay?
Scared.
All right.
Get out of here. Get out of here. All right. That little man is 9 years old today, not Ness. Ness is not 9. Carson is 9. Happy birthday, buddy boy. He makes everybody around him smile. And sometimes while he's making everyone else smile, he's making Dad mad. But I don't know where he gets that from. But he will be smiling all day. We're gonna make his day special. Our baby is 9. I told my wife on Sunday night, I said, this is it. This is one more year with a kid that's under double digits. After that, all our kids are in double digits, which makes me old. Doesn't make her old at all, but it makes me old for sure. So happy birthday, Cars. We'll celebrate tonight. And of course, also, just so you know, he was the winner in Ness Guess when it comes to Ness versus me. So here real soon on the show, Ness and Carson will be putting a pie on my face to pay off my bet from Ness Guess. We'll have our Ness Guess update later this week when it comes to our Week 18 winner, who that was, and all those kind of things. And then, of course, as I just mentioned, we'll have a pie in the face ceremony, if that's a thing, coming up soon right here at OTA. Again, thank you guys for watching. 1 year in the books. This is the start of year number 2 for OTA, our anniversary show. We'll celebrate more this week. Coming up on Friday, we're going to do a show live from Godfather's in Silver. So you're out and about between 10 and noon and you want to stop by and get some pizza from a fantastic pizza place. Do that. We'll have several guests along the way. Greg Armstrong says he'll be over there. Tom Kakert. Just talked to Jay Kidwell. Sounds like he's going to stop by. And several others as well. So I wanted to reach out to people that have been very good to me during my first year of doing this show. So it should be a lot of fun on Friday. We'll have more about that throughout the rest of the week. Coming up tomorrow on the show, the Iowa men play tonight. Nicholas Baer, former Hawkeye standout, former Bettendorf standout, will be on the show to talk about hopefully an Iowa victory in Minnesota tonight against the Gophers. We'll also have Jake Brend on, our Cyclone expert, and man, do we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Jake Brend, because things are changing in Iowa, in Ames when it comes to that football program. And on the flip side of it, the basketball programs are both doing outstanding. So maybe not the flip side, because I'm not saying everything is doom and gloom for Iowa State, but it's now the Penn State Cyclones and Iowa State rebuilding and doing a good job through the portal. So we'll talk with Jake Brend about that tomorrow and a lot more tomorrow on OTA. And then again, don't forget, Friday will be in Godfathers in Silvis as well. So thank you guys for watching today. Thank you guys for supporting the show over the last year. We're ready for year number 2. Pretty good start today. Thank you to Pat Anger for being on the show, to Rusty VanWetzinga, Central Michigan fullback, for joining us, and also Kyle Huesmann as well. If you missed any of it, go check it out, and we will see you guys back here again tomorrow. We'll see you then.